everyone and welcome back to the channel. It's Brad from Entertainment for All with another video for you guys about my favorite films and movies from every year that I've been alive. Credit for this video goes out to Jeff from the Films at Home channel. If you guys get a chance, go check him out. Awesome guy, awesome content, really great channel. And let me know what you guys think about the movies that I pick in the comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, you know the drill. Let's get started. So the first year we're going to be talking about today is the year 1979. Two movies really stuck out to me from that year. The first being a space, action, drama, horror movie. And of course that being the movie Alien. Check this movie out if you guys get a chance. It is a little long, or it seems that way for me. I think the pacing is a little slow. And it's just very, very suspenseful. You never know what's going to happen. A lot of jump scares. Great if you really like horror and sci-fi. But for me, the number one movie from 1979 is actually a sequel to one of the biggest movies from 1976. And of course, I'm talking about the boxing drama Rocky II. Everybody knows Rocky Balboa. This shouldn't be any surprise to anybody who is any fan of sports or boxing. Great movie. Check this out. This is everything you wanted the first one to be and just a little bit more. This next year I have several more movies to talk about. The first being the comedy classic Caddyshack, the original horror classic Friday the 13th, and probably my favorite in the series, Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. If you guys have not seen this, crawl out of that rock you've been living under. Check this one out. Yes, I know the special edition, George Lucas has messed with this a little bit. Still a great movie. If you can find the original, you'll probably get to find it on VHS. If not, this is a good substitute. Check it out, guys. Some of the best movies in 1981, in my opinion, are Dudley Moore's Arthur, which I also do not have, the original Halloween 2, another sequel, Friday the 13th Part 2, but my favorite movie from 1981, Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. In 1982 was another awesome year in cinema. Once again, another Friday the 13th movie, Friday the 13th Part 3. An awesome compilation of horror stories from Stephen King, Creepshow. And then a couple of movies from one of my favorite actors. Not a lot of people might consider him a great actor. I happen to enjoy his movies quite a bit. But the original First Blood, or Rambo, as many call it. And then my favorite movie by this gentleman, another entry in the Rocky series, Rocky III. This is probably my second favorite Rocky movie just because of Mr. T. If you guys have not seen this, please do yourself a favor. Go watch this. This year brought us a ton of awesome movies. Three of which that I do not own that I need to buy are Michael Keaton's Mr. Mom, War Games, and Eddie and the Cruisers. The ones I do own, though, being Mr. Al Pacino in Scarface, another awesome Stephen King movie, Christine, and my favorite movie from 1983, the next entry in the Star Wars franchise, Return of the Jedi. '84 was an awesome year for cinema. A ton of movies that I really love come from that year. Some of which being Gremlins, the original Ghostbusters, Revenge of the Nerds, Nightmare on Elm Street, Beverly Hills Cop, This was a real close one for my favorite movie from that year, but the original Karate Kid. However, my favorite movie from that year has got to be The Terminator. A lot of people dog on this franchise because they've seen a lot of the newer entries in the series, but I really think everybody needs to go back and watch the original and appreciate it for really what it was. It was very groundbreaking for the time. Lots of stop motion animation and just a lot of special effects that really were done practically in camera that honestly they just don't do anymore, and it was made on a shoestring budget. Go check that movie out if you get the chance. "1985 was one of my favorite years in cinema. Matter of fact, there's so many movies I had to write all these down. You had such greats as The Breakfast Club. You had The Goonies. You had Weird Science. Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Awesome Tim Burton movie. If you guys have not seen that, it's an odd movie, but it's extremely worth it. The whole Large Marge thing scared me to death when I was a kid. Better Off Dead with John Cusack, also a great movie. I can't really explain the premise, but he ends up losing his girlfriend and he's trying to do these crazy outlandish things to get her back. It's just hilarious. Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox. I don't know what to say about that movie either, but it's just an excellent movie. Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's just dumb fun. Some of the others I really enjoyed from that year. Science fiction movie Enemy Mine. This one's kind of an odd one because it's basically two people who know nothing about each other other than that they hate each other. They can't communicate with each other, but somehow end up on this planet that is just getting bombarded with like meteors, and they have to form this friendship, and it's really great. Rocky IV, my favorite out of the franchise, came out of that year. I know Stallone just went back and redid this one. The original is really great. I have not got a chance to see the director's cut, Rocky versus Drago. Everybody says it's great. I'm going to check that one out as soon as I can. My favorite movie from 1985 is another Michael J. Fox movie, Back to the Future. Everybody knows Back to the Future. Everybody knows the DeLorean. I recommend highly you guys checking that movie out. There's actually talks right now of them redoing that movie. I really hope they don't. There's just no way to perfect perfection. So I don't know why people would want to mess with that. So go check out Back to the Future. With me being a kid of the 80s, 1986 was an awesome year. Such movies that came out of that year that I really enjoyed were Short Circuit. Robots are great. I don't know what it was about that movie, but it was just great. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. That was an awesome movie. However, I didn't really appreciate that until I got a little bit older to where I could understand it. Still an awesome movie. Iron Eagle. That's probably one of my favorite Louis Gossett Jr. movies, and it introduced me to the F-16. Also from that year, Top Gun, which introduced me to the F-14 Tomcat and Tom Cruise for the first time. Excellent movie. Tom Cruise's acting, it's whatever. But this was an awesome movie. An awesome comedy from that year, Armed and Dangerous. John Candy, one of his best movies. I really miss that guy. He's hilarious. My second favorite Jim Cameron movie came out of '86. Aliens, the sequel to Alien. Great movie, non-stop action, blowing a lot of stuff up. Check that one out. Karate Kid 2. Maybe not everybody's favorite in the series. For me, this was one of the first movies I remember seeing in the theaters with my parents. So that one kind of holds a special place in my heart. And then my favorite movie from '86, which probably very few people have heard of, is another Ralph Macchio movie, Crossroads. No, not the one with Britney Spears. This one's from '86. This is the original Crossroads. This is what kind of introduced me to music. At a young age, kind of the love of guitar came from this one. Go check this one out. Awesome movie. Go check out any of these movies from '86 because they are awesome. 1987 was another awesome year in cinema, and another year in which I have a whole bunch of movies to buy. Some of my favorites included Lethal Weapon with Mel Gibson and Danny Glover, 3 O'Clock High, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, a John Hughes movie starring John Candy, excellent movie. Some of my other favorites that I do own though, Police Academy 4, Citizens on Patrol, Steve Guttenberg, Bobcat Goldthwait. This one's just hilarious. I don't know why I like this one so much. I think it's one of the first ones I watched, so I've kind of got a soft spot for that one. Also, the arm wrestling drama, Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone. And the jungle action movie, my favorite movie from 1987, Arnold Schwarzenegger's The Predator. '88 was made awesome by several movies, the first of which being Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Tom Hanks' Big, which I doubt could really be made today just based on the premise, Tim Burton's Beetlejuice, which kind of scared me a little bit when I was a kid, mainly because of the sandworms, and you just have to watch it. Crazy movie. Probably my favorite Eddie Murphy comedy. If it's not my favorite, my second favorite. This movie is excellent. I love him and Arsenio Hall in this. Awesome chemistry. It's probably the first movie I remember with him playing like several parts, and it's awesome. Go check it out. Die Hard with Bruce Willis, an awesome movie. And yes, this is a Christmas movie. This one really shocked me. I didn't expect to like this. This was one of the first DVDs I actually bought. This probably made me like Tom Cruise about 10 times more. Him and Dustin Hoffman play excellently off each other. This is a great movie. I really didn't like his character in the very beginning, but at the end you really learn to appreciate him, and it's really a sad movie, but it is a good movie. But my favorite 1988 movie is another John Candy movie with Dan Aykroyd, The Great Outdoors. This is basically a movie about what happens when you go on vacation and some uninvited relatives show up, and the hilarity that can ensue, whether it be raccoons or a speedboat or a guy that gets struck by lightning 66 times. It's just an excellent movie. I really recommend this one, The Great Outdoors. Alright, rounding out the 80s in 1989, we had such movies as Jean-Claude Van Damme's Kickboxer, Tim Burton's Batman, another John Hughes movie starring John Candy, Uncle Buck, and The Wizard, which was basically just one big Nintendo commercial that as a kid I loved because everybody loved Nintendo. Baseball comedy Major League starring Charlie Sheen. One of my favorite Tom Hanks movies, The Burbs, which is basically a movie in which he takes a week's vacation and he and the neighborhood guys get together and wonder just what's going on with his next door neighbor that just moved in. They're kind of creepy people, but it's hilarious. You really need to watch it. This was a tough one for me to put in second place, but Back to the Future 2, not taking anything away from that movie. Excellent movie, but not my favorite from 1989, which was, and I don't care, I will watch this movie any time of year, but Christmas Vacation. This was one of the most quotable movies I swear I have ever seen. If you have not seen this movie, you really should. This one can be enjoyed, like I said, any time of year. This is probably Chevy Chase's best movie in my eyes. Go check it out, Christmas Vacation. We're starting off a new decade, 1990, with some of the most hated movies from these franchises. We're going to start off with Rocky V, which, yes, I did actually enjoy. Tommy Morrison made this movie. Back to the Future 3, which was filmed concurrently with Back to the Future 2. That's why they were able to put this movie out so soon. The mob, crime, drama, Goodfellas. If you haven't seen this, also crawl out from under that rock, go check it out. Ray Liotta, Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro. Excellent, excellent movie. But my favorite movie from 1990, I was 10 years old, loved Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Them making a live action movie of this just kind of blew me away. The outfits were excellent. I think the animatronics were a little off when you go back and look at it, but 10-year-old me loved this movie. 1991 was a great year for comedies. My favorite comedy from that year had to be Drop Dead Fred, which makes me laugh just thinking about it. Another one of my favorites, the sequel to my 1990 favorite movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze. And then probably the greatest sequel, arguably, of all time, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, is my favorite movie from 1991. Some of my favorite movies from 1992 include the comedy Captain Ron with Kurt Russell and Martin Short, the Al Pacino masterpiece Scent of a Woman, and a pair of boxing movies, Diggstown with James Woods and Louis Gossett Jr., and Gladiator starring Brian Dennehy, Cuba Gooding Jr., and James Marshall. Every time I talk to somebody about this movie, they naturally assume that I'm talking about the movie with Russell Crowe. Not so. This one kind of flew under the radar though, but if you guys like Rocky, you need to check both of these movies out. They're both great for different reasons. But my favorite movie from 1992 is a movie I sadly do not own. It is Gary Sinise and John Malkovich in the drama of Mice and Men. The year 1993 gave some pretty interesting picks. Let's see what I've got. Michael Douglas's Falling Down, which is a movie about a guy who just loses it one day and goes on a rampage. He's not seen his child in quite a while, gets stuck in traffic, and just goes on kind of a rampage. Great movie. Stallone in Cliffhanger. The blockbuster that everybody loves, Jurassic Park. This movie blew me away when I was 13. The special effects, top notch. But my favorite movie for 1993 has to be this movie, Tombstone, which has just got a star-studded cast. Probably my favorite person in this one was Val Kilmer. This is really worth a watch. It's kind of a longer movie, but an excellent movie, even if you don't like Westerns. I'm not a big fan of Westerns, but still, awesome, awesome movie. I'm starting 1994 out with a bang with 3 movies I love but do not own. The first of which being the Tom Hanks classic Forrest Gump, Brandon Lee's The Crow, and Brad Pitt's Legends of the Fall. Another Brad Pitt movie that I really enjoy that he starred with Tom Cruise, Interview with the Vampire, the comedy classic Dumb and Dumber. I remember seeing this in the theater when I was 14, almost peeing my pants. But my favorite movie from 1994 is a prison drama, The Shawshank Redemption, with Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. What can I say about this movie that hasn't been said a million times? It's a story about a man who's sent to prison on the pretenses that he killed his wife. Did he? Didn't he? You never know until the very end. And just really an awesome, awesome movie. Check this one out, guys. Some of my favorite movies from the year 1995 include Mortal Kombat, the hilarious comedy Grumpier Old Men, Virtuosity, Morgan Freeman, Brad Pitt in Seven, My favorite movie from 1995, Tom Hanks, Bill Paxton, Gary Sinise, and Apollo 13. Three more movies from 1996 that I love but don't own. Chris Farley, David Spade comedy, Black Sheep. Another Bill Paxton classic, Twister. And Kevin Bacon in Sleepers. But also, Gina Davis, Samuel L. Jackson in The Long Kiss Goodnight. But my favorite movie from 1996, Michael Keaton's masterpiece, Multiplicity. A movie about a guy that just cannot seem to get work done around the house and at home, ends up cloning himself, and then the clone clones himself. It's just hilarity. So check this one out if you haven't seen it, Multiplicity. One of my favorite movies from 1997 that I do not own is Good Will Hunting with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. A movie I bought on a whim, not knowing if I was going to like it. Starship Troopers. Awesome, awesome movie. A movie with everybody's favorite loudmouth Chris Tucker, Money Talks. The very first DVD I ever bought, Austin Powers, International Man of Mystery. I had to drive an hour and a half to buy this. Nobody around me carried DVDs at all. John Travolta, Nicolas Cage in Face Off. But my favorite movie from 1997, sci-fi, horror, Event Horizon. Basically about a ship that travels to hell and what it brings back with it. It's a great, great movie. Lots of jump scares. Pretty freaky. "1998 was an awesome year, not just because I turned 18 and graduated, but because of movies like Adam Sandler's The Wedding Singer, my introduction to Dave Chappelle, Half-Baked, John Carpenter's Vampires with James Woods, Ben Affleck and Bruce Willis's Armageddon, a movie that's got way too many famous people in it for me to name, but the main ones being Tom Hanks and Matt Damon in Saving Private Ryan. Almost a 3-hour movie, but really worth it. Kind of brutal, kind of gory, but that's just how war was. It makes it kind of hard to watch at times, but really an excellent movie. But my favorite movie from '98 was Matt Perry and Chris Farley's Almost Heroes. A story about two explorers, let's just call them, trying to beat Lewis and Clark to the Pacific and all the troubles that go along with it, whether it be a bald eagle, a wig-wearing guy trying to sword fight him, a brothel filled with straw women. It's just hilarious. Check this one out, guys. '99 was a great year for me, mainly because of movies like The Matrix, which if you could wear out a DVD, I would have wore this one out. I watched this probably 2 to 3 times a week when I was in college. Everybody testing out their 5.1 surround sound systems. Great movie. The movie Stir of Echoes with Kevin Bacon. The Cubicle Classic, Office Space. Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. This is probably my favorite Austin Powers movie. Yes, it's better than Goldmember. Sorry, guys. But my favorite movie from 1999, another Tom Hanks movie, The Green Mile, which this one will really pull at the heartstrings. But this is an awesome movie. Basically about a crew of guys having to take care of people that are on death row and kind of getting attached to certain characters and the things that they go through with them. But check out The Green Mile. The year 2000 brought us movies such as Denzel Washington's Remember the Titans, based on a true story actually. Brendan Fraser in Bedazzled, not based on a true story. Kevin Bacon in the original Hollow Man, not so much Hollow Man 2. That movie was not very good. Nicolas Cage in Gone in 60 Seconds. My favorite movie, not watching the cartoons, not reading the comics, but my first experience with a Marvel movie, the original X-Men. Some movies from 2001 I enjoyed but don't own. The movie Shrek, Sylvester Stallone's Driven, Mummy Returns, really bad CG. The Rock looks horrible in this movie. But my favorite movie from 2001, Joe Dirt. The year 2002 gave us such classics as Austin Powers in Goldmember, Ice Age, my introduction to Jason Statham, The Transporter, but the best movie from 2002, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. And yes, Tobey Maguire is the best Spider-Man, no question. A really great movie from 2003 that I don't own is Mystic River with Sean Penn and Kevin Bacon. Jack Black in School of Rock. Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. X2, X-Men United. Now I'm going to get some hate for this, but my favorite movie from 2003 is Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. Some of the best movies from 2004 include Napoleon Dynamite, a really underrated movie, The Butterfly Effect. I don't know if you guys can get a good shot of that. But my favorite from 2004, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. For 2005, we've gotten my favorite Star Wars movie, Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. The beginning of the Nolan trilogy, Batman Begins. An excellent horror movie, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which is based on a true story. But my favorite movie from 2005, Keanu Reeves in Constantine. Some of my favorites from 2006 include Mark Wahlberg in Invincible, .300, another Stallone classic, Rocky Balboa, but my favorite, the Scorsese picture, The Departed. Two 2007 for me was an awesome year in film and cinema, and you can really tell because this is the year that basically all my favorite movies were purchased on Blu-ray. One of them being Zodiac with Mark Ruffalo and Robert Downey Jr. Funny story there, I don't own it on HD anymore because that was one of the first titles I actually bought on HD DVD. Some of my other favorites though include Steve Carell in Dan in Real Life. Get a shot of that one there. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3. Yes, this was a good movie. The original Transformers. Ratatouille, which this was really close to being my favorite movie from '07. But my favorite being Superbad. Extremely dated, but extremely hilarious. Some of my favorites from 2008 include Prestige Worldwide or Step Brothers. Comedy nobody knows anything about, Sex Drive. There's two versions on this disc. There's an unrated version that is literally garbage, but it's so bad it's funny. It's probably funnier than the actual movie. So go watch the rated version of this. Iron Man. My favorite from 2008 had to be The Dark Knight. In 2009 had movies that I really loved, like Peter Jackson's District 9. Of course, my favorite franchise, Terminator Salvation, which honestly I thought kind of ended oddly. The original ending for this movie, while a lot darker, I thought was better, and probably would have led to a lot more positive reception of the franchise, because the ones after that one, while I don't think were terribly bad, I don't know, they just lost the it factor that really made Terminator one of my favorite franchises. But my favorite movie from '09, Disney's Up. So 2010 for me was kind of an odd year. It was the year that I really kind of got away from physical media, let's just say, and I kind of leaned into streaming. So I started buying a lot more movies just on like Vudu and those kind of sites, thinking, you know, convenience would be maybe better than adding things to my shelf that just sit there and look pretty. So some of these years are going to be different because I don't actually own, like 2010, I own 0 of these movies that I enjoy. Also, some of these movies I'm actually going back and purchasing, so I do plan to rectify a lot of this. So 2010, some of my favorite movies included Leonardo DiCaprio in Shutter Island, Christian Bale and Mark Wahlberg in The Fighter, another Mark Wahlberg movie, The Other Guys. But my favorite from 2010 was Toy Story 3. For 2011, my picks were Always Funny, Horrible Bosses. Movie I'm sure not a lot of people watched, Moneyball. If you love baseball, look at this one. Honestly, there's not a lot of baseball in it per se, but a lot of kind of what goes on behind the scenes and why the game is kind of played the way it is today. Awesome movie though. X-Men First Class. Captain America, The First Avenger. My favorite movie from 2011, Warrior, Tom Hardy, Nick Nolte. '12 gave us some awesome movies like Marvel's The Avengers. Another awesome and probably my favorite Adam Sandler comedy, That's My Boy. My favorite movie from 2012, another Chris Nolan movie, Dark Knight Rises. One of my favorite movies from 2013 that I don't think a lot of people really give a lot of credit to was The Wolverine. I really, really love this movie. It's just different. But my favorite movie from that year had to be Monsters University, which for me was a worthy sequel, even though it was a prequel. But that movie kind of holds a very nostalgic feeling for me because my son and I used to watch that movie non-stop when it came out. He was turning 5 that year, so he really enjoyed that movie too. Great movie. For 2014, one of my favorites was X-Men: Days of Future Past. Very different from the rest of them. A lot of time travel. This is kind of where I feel like the timeline kind of segued and went every which direction, but an awesome movie nonetheless. But my favorite, John Wick. I'm assuming a lot of people have seen this movie that are watching this right now, so you know why I picked this movie. It's awesome. I'll tell you what's not awesome though. Best Buy, come on guys, do better. Don't put stickers on your slipcovers. It's really annoying for us collectors. Alright, moving right along to 2015. Some of my favorites. Daddy's Home. This is another movie that Kyle and I watched I don't know how many times. If you could wear out a digital disc, that one would definitely be worn onion thin. Another movie that gets a lot of hate online, Pixels, I thought was amazing, probably because I grew up in the 80s and I love video games, and this was just awesome. Jurassic World, which I thought was an awesome kind of return to the series roots almost. I thought 2 and 3 were just okay. Another movie that really surprised me, Creed. Since I love the Rocky series, I thought this was going to be kind of a phoned in version. You know, everybody does these stories to death about somebody's son coming back to live on their father's legacy, yada, yada, yada. This was actually really good. But my favorite from that year, 2015, had to be Matt Damon's The Martian. "2016 gave us awesome movies like Keanu, X-Men Apocalypse, Disney's Zootopia, and my favorite movie from 2016, Captain America: Civil War. "2017 gave us movies like Tom Holland's first outing as Spider-Man with Homecoming. Another one of my favorite Marvel movies, Thor: Ragnarok. But my favorite movie from 2017 was Logan. "2018 gave us excellent movies like Mark Wahlberg in Instant Family. Another Stallone classic, Creed 2. Tom Hardy in Venom. But my favorite movie from 2018 was The Avengers: Infinity War. "2019 gave us movies like Ford v Ferrari. Another one of my favorites, Alita: Battle Angel. But my favorite being Avengers: Endgame. So 2020 for me, another weird year. I don't know if it was just because I didn't watch a lot of movies or I just didn't like a lot of the cinema that came out in 2020, but my favorite movie from 2020 was The King of Staten Island. So one of my favorite movies from 2021 was the movie Mortal Kombat. Tom Holland's third entry into the Spider-Man series, No Way Home. But my favorite movie from 2021 was Ghostbusters Afterlife. So 2022 for me was a year that really pushed me to really upgrading all of my equipment to 4K because of one movie. This movie had been teased for, it seems like forever. It got pushed back because of COVID, and I could not wait to see this movie when it came out, and it was probably the best movie I've seen in the past decade. That movie, of course, Top Gun Maverick. So as of this year, it's been kind of tough because I haven't got to watch a whole lot of movies, but the movies I have seen thus far in the year, probably the ones I enjoyed the most were the Super Mario Brothers movie, and my favorite so far, Creed 3. If you've made it this far into the video, I really appreciate you. Thank you very much. So I wanted to go over what my favorite movie of all time is. This movie I picked from 1984 is my favorite movie from '84 because it used to scare me to death as a kid, but not in a bad way, but in a good way. And I think the movie really holds up today. It's kind of a warning about what AI could be doing if we keep pushing it. But that movie being The Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I know I haven't seen every movie from every year, so some of this list is going to be probably a little different from what you'd put on yours. But let me know what you guys think of the video. Let me know what your favorite movies are. Like, comment, subscribe, all that great YouTube stuff. But have a good one. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.